Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss the qualitative analysis of human movement. So basically, if we can dive deep into that, we are going to keep it super simple, okay? So what is qualitative analysis? Qualitative, that means looking at how good a movement is instead of just numbers. We are just focusing on how we can watch a movement, okay, like a coach watching a player or a physiotherapist watching a patient walk, okay. So the example of like qualitative is basically that jump looks smooth, okay, take it this as an example, okay, that jump looked smooth, okay, or you can say that jump in the volleyball looked smooth. And if you can say that in a qualitative way, so that jump in a volleyball is 3.2 feet high, okay. This is basically quantitative analysis, but we are going to discuss today is qualitative. Only on the qualitative focus is basically instead of numbers you can just focus on how we can see the movement is good or bad or something like that, okay. Majorly this is the major focus of analysis we are going to discuss today. To analyze movement, okay, like a pro majorly, we must know the right words for different movements like flexion, extension. You need to take everything in a grip way. You know what is flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, the different movement terms and other directional terms. Other than that, we must know that what a good movement looks like, okay, what a good biomechanics look like, and we must watch carefully to see if the movement is doing it right or if the person is doing right, the movement, if the person is performing the movement right in a right way, okay. There are two big things to look at: the technique and the performance. Remember always, okay, technique like how they move, and performance what happens in the end, okay, what are the result of that movement. But here's a secret: the outcome majorly doesn't matter much if the movement is wrong, okay. Like it's like getting a high five but with a broken wrist, okay. You can perform high five with a broken wrist, but it can just give a pain, okay. But you can perform high five with the broken wrist as well. So that means performances doesn't matter much if the movement is wrong, okay. So that means the outcome doesn't matter much if the movement or if the technique is wrong, okay. So majorly we have to discuss what type of technique and what is the performance basically of the person or a patient or athlete you are considering for qualitative analysis, okay. So let's make it easy and discuss with an example. Like let's look at some real life examples, okay? Like you can just see from here in a picture. These are the patients. Okay, sorry, these are the athletes playing volleyball. Okay, a good serve needs basically in a volleyball. Basically, a good serve is basically when you can um, send a ball towards your opponent, okay, majorly. So a good serve needs a strong trunk rotation, arm extension, body moving forward, and hitting the ball just right, okay. You can see here in this picture the complete rotation, okay. You can see the opponent sending the ball toward your toward his opponents as well. So the server here is basically have a trunk rotation. At the same time, he has an arm extension and his body moving forward in a direction and hitting the ball just right to send the ball towards the opposite side of the net, or you can say opposite side or the opposite team members. Okay, for the opposite team members to just start the match or to just send the ball towards the opposite camps. Okay, other example is like in cycling, speeds come from pushing hard on pedals or keeping body low to cut wind. These type of some kinds of because in cycling you know that pushing hard on pedals basically increase the speed. So majorly this is the also an example. Okay, With that, if you can see, if you we can just follow up or follow through an a real life example. Imagine a tennis player who has a weak follow through. Some coaches say, hey, fix that follow through, okay. But the real problem may be weak trunk extension, slow swing, or fixing the end won't help unless you fix the start, okay. Majorly, what I am saying here is basically there is specifically the tennis player who need to who has a weak follow through. Okay, you know that the weak follow through has some needs some kind of fix, and as a physical therapist, you know that you have to fix that problem, but that the real problem behind that fixed through issue, the weak fixed through issue is something like weak trunk rotation or slow swing. Okay, so you need to fix the start of any of these movements to fix the end. Okay, if you cannot fix the start of any of the movement, you cannot fix the end, and if you can not fix the end, basically the athletes can never recover from that weak position. Okay, so, what is happening if you have played a sport or done a movement, you might understand it better. But here is something cool like great players don't always make great coaches, and great coaches may have never played the game. Okay, so that means what matters the most is learning and practice both at the same time. Okay, sometimes some experiences are very good as a coach. Sometimes some experiences are very good as a player. So you have to work in a comprehensive way. You can say that in a teammate or in a way that you both share a same introductory manner, or you can just say that if you want to fix the players some kind of issue as a physical therapist, as a coach, so you have to discuss with the person as well with that what kind of issue he is facing. Because of that, his movement is basically disrupts, so you need to fix that. Okay, so, what is basically in this things qualitative analysis of human movement is you need to take care of everything. Okay, like as a teacher, as a mentor, you have to take care of everything. Okay, so to effectively analyze the motor skill, it is very helpful for analysts to understand the specific purpose of the skill. Okay, the purpose of skill, if you see that the major purpose, what was the major purpose? The volleyball player or server has to throw the ball, project the ball over the net into the opposite court that we have discussed in this picture. So if you know that we have to throw the ball in the opponent's court, you know that what type of serving you have to perform to complete that motor skill. Okay, so this is basically the requirement of the two major things. Okay, so what prerequisite knowledge for qualitative analysis you need is basically the two main sources: analyst diagnosing a motor skill. Majorly, the first is the kinematics, okay, the technique as we have discussed before, and the second one was the performance. So you need to work on both of them to get your result in a very progressive way, in a very coordinated manner. Okay, we have discussed all of these things, the volleyball player issue and the volleyball player movement. With that, you can discuss many other examples that they have discussed here: the analysts, the cyclists, the sprint cyclist, and many other things. But we have discussed everything in a very detailed manner, that what kind of movement you have to perform and how you can thoroughly become or you can great players. As we have discussed that great players don't always make great coaches, but great coaches sometimes may have never played the game. Okay, so you have to discuss these kind of things before. So how do we get smarter about it? We can learn from books, like as a physiotherapist, as a physical therapist, as a coach. We can learn from books, science journals, coaching articles, conferences, and workshops. But be careful, not everything you read is right. Okay, make sure it's based on real evidence. The evidence based practice not just a random opinions. Okay, so as a physical therapist, you need to focus on the evidence as well, the real life problems, the real life examples, the real life issues, the real life because every individual is different from one another. So you need to take care of everything before reaching towards or before completing the end range. Okay, so in summary, basically we have discussed in this that how to analyze movement well, like know what movement looks like. Okay, with that, watch closely, understand why a mistake happens, and keep learning from good sources. This is majorly the uh, qualitative analysis of human movement. Okay, discussing this. And after that, we are going to discuss majorly the planning of the qualitative analysis, because we have to take care of the step by step everything. So we can discuss like what kind of things we have to require to uh, plan the qualitative analysis. Okay, today we have just discussed the pre-requisite knowledge, like where you have to gather that knowledge from the to perform any of the evidence-based practice, and what kind of basically parameters you need to study from those areas, like books, as we have discussed, like books and science journals, coaching articles, conferences, workshops. You need to take care of everything. Okay, and after that, now we can in the next lecture we can discuss the planning of the qualitative analysis, that how we can plan the qualitative analysis, how as an analyst you need your how you can perform that in the qualitative analysis. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you have any query you can ask, and I have discuss this lecture in a very easy way. Hope you can understand that. Thanks for watching. And if you have any query, you can ask.